Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I really want to talk about one character in particular. This character, whenever I've rewatched the show, when I watched the show for the very first time as well, I was just like, okay. Generally, I didn't really see a point in this character, and the way they took this character, I think, was slightly on the wrong route to take this character. Today we are going to be talking about Miss Sarah Harvey. I'm going to go through her entire timeline on the show, who she is, where she came from, how she's involved in the story, and then we're going to talk about why her character then didn't work. Don't know how well you can see this poster behind me because the lighting, very sorry, but I've made several posters regarding Sarah that I just want to break down and explain as we go through. Sarah Harvey is first mentioned in season 4 episode 14 called Who's in the Box, and they originally mentioned Sarah because at this point they're trying to work out who is actually inside Alison's coffin, because it's not Alison. Spoiler, it's not Alison. So they search a bunch of girls that went missing around the same time as Alison, and they stumbled across Sarah Harvey, Emily and Hannah. They met up with these two people here who are Sarah's friends, were her friends. So one of them, called Claire, actually wished that Sarah would disappear before she disappeared. And at this point, there's a lot of similarities towards Sarah and Alison. And Sarah was like the queen bee of their high school. So a lot of similarities. I see what the writers are trying to do. Yeah, they couldn't keep it up. It goes downhill from now on. Claire also mentioned that she had problems with Sarah because of how Sarah treated her. Same with how Alison treated the girls. The last person to see Sarah alive was a friend called Avery. And Avery said that she saw her the day after Labor Day, so the day after Alison went missing, riding her bike. And she believes that Sarah might have amnesia and just not remember anything or like who she is. That's kind of the first poster covered, right? Emily, Hannah trying to find who's in Alison's grave. They discover that there's this girl called Sarah Harvey that could possibly be in it. Her friends didn't like Sarah Harvey. Sarah Harvey was a little bit of a menace, people didn't really like her that much. And yeah, okay, next poster. So the next time that we see Miss Sarah Harvey, let me just see if I can turn the brightness down to help you guys see a little bit more. Can you see a little bit more? This is the poster. The next time that Sarah is mentioned or we see her is in the episode Game on Charles, which is the second episode that takes place in the dollhouse, I believe. But she's in a cell and she's like drawing a sun and she's like chalking on her prison cell because she has been held captive in the dollhouse. So we are told she watches as the girls are like running past and like they're trying to like escape the dollhouse. She just watches on in the distance. Yeah. Then towards the end of this episode, when the girls are found alive and safe, the police officers walk around the dollhouse. And we see a police officer finding Sarah. And at this point, we don't know her name. Who's this girl? Who's this girl? Who is she?
Who is she? Who is she? Who is she? Where did you find her?
She says that her name is Sarah Harvey. Interesting. Everything goes down here from now on. In the episode Songs of Innocence, Sarah wakes up in a hospital bed, confused. What's going on? Where have I been? Do you know what I mean? So she tells Emily that she ran away, someone hit her over the head, and that's all she remembers. Interesting, because that's really similar to Alison. Interesting. I see it. I see what the writers are trying to do. But it fails. This was probably the peak time where Sarah Harvey could have worked and could have been a little bit of a little project and a little like, do you know what I mean? But it falls very, very flat, as we're about to see. This is the next poster. So this, everyone, is where a meme is born. But as you can see here, Sara is a showerhead. Where has this come from? See, let me elaborate. Nearly every scene that Sara is in, she says she needs to take a shower.
I'm in the shower and I'm writing a song. I'm gonna take a shower.
This isn't one or two scenes, guys. Every scene. I'm gonna go take a shower.
I'm gonna take a shower.
I need a shower. The meme Shower Harvey was born.
I'm gonna take a shower.
One of my faves, maybe. Not up there with everything we got from PLL, but she's up there for sure. So I found this picture when I was making this poster of Sarah Harvey as a shower head. I thought it was very... yeah, we're going to use it. In this episode, Songs of Expressions, Emily tells Sarah, have you thought about going to see Dr. Sullivan, who apparently is the only therapist in Rosewood, by the way. Everyone uses her, just like how Spencer's mum is the only lawyer in the town. But nonetheless, I digress. And then Sarah kind of freaks out. She's like, no, I need to go take a shower.
I'm gonna take a shower.
At this point, Sarah's like home life is really not good. Not good. A lot of mummy issues. She ends up kind of staying with Emily for most of the time. But Pam, who is Emily's mom, really struggles with like handling her trauma because she needs to go see someone special about it, because Pam can't do it. She can't compete with girls. Like,
I'm gonna take a shower.
in the episode called She's No Angel, I didn't put it up here because couldn't really be bothered. Didn't think it needed a whole poster. Basically, Emily and Sarah end up having a fight because Emily has been looking for the person who kidnapped Sarah because it's A. So Emily's like, yeah, we're going to find this person. Sarah gets a bit mad. They end up having an argument. She's like, oh my God, you told me you weren't looking for this person. Have an argument. But then in the distance, they see a black hood running and they're like, we gotta go. No poster for this one, everybody. But in the episode No Stone Unturned, Emily and Sarah kind of finally validate their feelings for each other, romantic feelings for each other, and they end up having a little kiss, having a little moment in the episode. This is where all the feelings have been developing to. She's been staying with Emily. Emily has been like the closest person to her post-dollhouse. Only one really helping Sarah. Yeah. Okay, next episode.
I'm gonna take a shower.
In the episode The Last Dance, Rosewood High are having like a little prom. Little dance, shall I say. But Sarah's high school is also having a dance that night. By this point, Sarah and her friend Claire from earlier, the one that hated her guts, they've made up. And I don't know if there's any romantic feelings there. Maybe there's like a hint of something. But Sarah, nonetheless, is like, okay, I'm going to go to my other high school's prom with Claire. But she ends up, so she goes to that prom, but then she ends up coming to the Rosewood High prom a bit later on to have like one little last dance with Emily. Because why is this their last dance, everybody? Yeah. We're about to find out.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Oh, this poster's a good one. This poster. So, this is the next time we see Sarah Harvey. In the episode Game Over Charles. The big one. The big one. She joins the girls to go find A's lair. So they all enter the lair apart from Sarah. Emily turns around and she's like, Sarah, what are you doing? Get in here. Well, what are you waiting outside for? Get in the room. But the door closes. Yeah, the door. She's like, Emily, I'll be here. Yeah. Door closes. Sarah's away from the girls. The girls are in the A's lair.
I'm gonna take a shower.
So Cece then gets revealed as A, which may have its issues. I didn't think too badly of it, to be honest, but I digress. I'm going to do a whole video on that, but whatever. Cece reveals that Sarah was Redcoat and the Black Widow person. So the Black Widow person showed up at Wilden's funeral. Everyone at the time was like, oh my god, who is that? Whoever that Black Widow person is working with A. We got to find out who it was. And everyone thought it was Melissa. I didn't really think much of Melissa during the show, to be honest. I don't think she was ever like a contender to be A or any other person. So turns out it was Sarah, right? Now this has its issues, which I'm going to explain a bit later on. Sarah was also Redcoat. Redcoat was a person who would like often spy on the girls. They look like Allison. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's Allison. But turns out it was Sarah Harvey. So I'm just going to make you note down at this point, two of like the biggest like side helpers of A is Sarah Harvey, who we're not really that familiar with at this point. We don't really have any affection towards her. And it also does not make sense. But we'll get to that. The girls eventually reach Sarah, who is in Radley after this whole... I mean, the whole thing takes place in Radley, but they're in Radley, right? And Sarah is about to let off a bomb. Yeah. So the girls stop her, and Emily ends up giving a little punch. Towards Sarah, and Sarah... I think she falls to the floor or something like that.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Something else happens here. I don't think we're actually shown it. I could be wrong. I've not watched this episode in a while. But this comes into play a bit later on. So we'll explain that in a little bit. After this, the next time we see Sarah is the episode of Late I Think of Rosewood, which is the episode where Cece gets murdered, or could be the episode after. Nonetheless, it's Cece's funeral because she's just been murdered. She's just been killed. So she attends Cece's funeral in this like little like black veil, black hood type of thing, bringing it back to the old days of the Black Widow. This is where we first see her again, and we're like, oh my god, can this girl not just go? Like, why is she here? Do you know what I mean? In the episode... Hold on, I forgot the name. In the episode Charlotte's Web, the girls see Sarah trying to rent a specific room. We'll come back to this later, but she's trying to get a specific room. But also at this point, she claims that she doesn't really remember that much from the night that Cece revealed that she was A. I don't really believe her, but I digress. Do you know what I mean? So Hannah is like, no, this is a lie. And Hannah claims that she ran away after Labor Day so that she could team up with Cece to talk to the girls. Now, this is why Sarah's whole character doesn't really make sense. Why would she want to talk to the girls? I don't know. When did she meet Cece? I don't know. Like, we'll explain everything because I have a whole list. Sorry guys, I got a text. I forgot where I was. Yeah, I have a whole list of why Sarah Harvey actually turned out to be like a really bad character. And this is on it. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a shower.
The police at this point actually clear Sarah of being a suspect for Cece's murder. Hannah had previously accused Sarah of being Cece's killer because Cece held her hostage in the dollhouse. So the police end up clearing her. It's not Sarah. In the episode, the gloves are on. Spencer reveals to Caleb that during the fight in the dollhouse where Emily punched her, Sarah got up and reached for like an electricity box, and her hands got fried to pieces. And that's why when we see her in this season here, she has to wear gloves because her hands are quite deformed at this point. Sara tries to blame the girls for this. I don't think we see it, so I can't say who's at fault, but I don't really think it would be the girls. But Sara asks Emily if she feels guilty. Emily is like, no thank you. And yeah, we've got one last poster because this is Sara's last ever episode. Everybody cheer. So this episode is called Wanted, Dead or Alive. Jenna and Sara actually end up teaming up for some reason. We'll get to this in literally like 2 minutes or so, but they end up teaming up basically.
I'm gonna take a shower.
So Emily sees Sara going into Jenna's hotel room and she's like, what the hell? A bit later on, Emily sneaks into this room and tries to snoop on Jenna's laptop, but Sara actually captures her. There we go. So Emily this whole time is like, why are these two working together? Jenna and Sara? What's the link? We'll find out. Sara at this point advises Emily to get out the room. Get out because she's not safe. And at this point, Emily thinks that she's talking about Jenna. So Emily's like, I'm not scared of Jenna. I'm not scared of Jenna. Yeah. But actually, Sara is talking about AD. Right. Does she know who AD is? We don't know. I don't think we ever find out. But Sara is trying to warn Emily, like, look, AD might be coming here. We know a bit about AD. Get out. So Sara says it's not Jenna that you need to be afraid of. But Jenna interrupts her and is like, shut up. Yeah? So we don't get a name. We don't know who to be afraid of. Later on in the episode, we see Sara in her hotel room and she's packing her bags. She's like, I gotta go. We don't know why, but she's in a rush to leave. She needs to go. So she opens the door to her hotel room and we don't see who it is, but she's flabbergasted. She looks shocked. She's like, oh, what? And that's it. A cleaning lady goes into Sara's room a bit later on and finds Sara dead. Now, I think her death is very full circle because she dies in the shower. Not in the shower. Like, her body is found in the shower. And shower Harvey, the whole I need to go take a shower, I just think it's very poetic, very full circle. They really stick to the shower Harvey name. Beautiful ending. The police end up coming to the conclusion that she fell in the shower and hit her head. She's dead. She's gone. That's it. Brown bread. She's over. There's a bit more to the story, which I shall elaborate on. In the episode, These Boots Were Made for Stalking, Jenna reveals to Detective Fury that Noel killed Sara. Noel. What has Noel got to do with the story? I really want to do a little deep dive into Noel because Noel is such an interesting character to me because he's so irrelevant, but he's literally included in every single important storyline. Why is this man here? Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Apparently, word got out that Cece had left a fortune in her old room at Radley. And Radley in season 7 got turned into a hotel. And this is the hotel that we see Sara trying to book a room in. So she's trying to book the room in that Cece left this fortune in. Apparently this fortune was left for Jenna to give her like an eye surgery to help fix her eyes. Jenna recruits Noel to help find the money. However, Noel was going to keep this money for himself because he's a bit broke. He's a bit like me, do you know what I mean? Inflation's hitting him a bit hard, do you know what I mean? Sara found out that Noel was going to keep the money for himself and he killed her to prevent Jenna from finding out the truth. However, get this, the real gag of the century, the fortune that Cece left wasn't even money, and it was her parents' medical records so they could find out her mum was actually Mary Drake. So now we really have to question, what was the problem? Why did people not like Sarah Harvey? Well, don't worry, I'm about to explain that to you.
I'm gonna take a shower.
The entire kind of thing is, who is she? Why did Cece want to work with her? What was her motive of working with Cece to get at the girls? And Sarah overall just felt like a meaningless character brought in just to kind of fill the plot holes of like, okay, we need someone to be a Redcoat. Let's get a blonde character in here. Do you know what I mean? And these two things that she was Redcoat and she was like the Black Widow person. These are quite important characters. So to bring in a character who we don't really know, we're not really attached to, we don't have any kind of familiarity with her, it just felt really, really weird to include her in, you know, the most important character roles. Because then to go with this, there's a huge lack of motive. What was her motive? Why would she want to get back at the girls? Why would she want to work with Cece? Why would she want to be Redcoat? It really doesn't make sense, and I don't think we really ever get a clear explanation as to why. The show overall really hyped her up to be more than just like a Ally, like placeholder type of thing. And there's multiple endings where we see Redcoat kind of just relaxing with A. So we're like, wow, okay, like these like know each other and obviously have the motivation to team up and target these girls. So what we're supposed to get from this, that Redcoat would have this huge motivation or huge agenda to get back at the girls and get revenge. So for her to be the Redcoat, it's kind of like, okay, like I don't think it's necessarily a shock or like a wow, they were working together this whole time. I think when I watched the scene and Sarah got revealed as Redcoat and the Black Widow, I was just like, okay, right, moving on. Also, another thing that kind of irks most people is that the timeline does not really make sense. So Alison went missing on Labor Day. So this is the day that Cece hit Alison over the head with a rock. And Cece actually goes back to Radley at the end of this episode. However, we are supposed to understand at this point that Cece then took Sarah Harvey the day after Labor Day. She would have been in Radley at this point. And if she did take Sarah on Labor Day, what did they do for so long? Because Cece only discovered A and the whole game after Mona. And Mona wasn't revealed as A until a couple of years after Labor Day, maybe like a year and a bit after Labor Day. So Cece and Sarah would have had to been together for a year and a bit before Cece was actually like, oh, now we have a plan. So therefore they couldn't have had a motive to get at the girls, especially Sarah, because that timeline does not make sense. Cece did not become A or discover the game until Mona's reveal at the end of season 2. So where is Sarah for 2 seasons? Because we are told that she gets her after Labor Day. Doesn't really make sense.
I'm gonna take a shower.
Cece was in Radley for so long. So where was Sarah? Was she also in Radley with Cece? Or what was she doing in between that year of Alison being missing before Cece became A? Do you know what I mean? Now, Sarah said that when she woke up from when she went missing, she woke up in the dollhouse. However, this just adds to my point further. This could not have made sense. And this does not make sense. And it does not fit the timeline. The dollhouse was not made until after Mona was revealed as A. If Sarah went missing on Labor Day, she didn't wake up in the dollhouse. The dollhouse did not exist. There was no dollhouse. This was not a thing. I don't want to blame the actress for this, but a lot of Sarah's writing, her lines, her script, it was really bad, really cringy, really, really, really bad. And I just think this added fuel to the fire of like, this is not a good character at all. And it's kind of sad because I think the potential of Sarah was really, really good. They could have done a whole Stockholm syndrome thing where Cece had taken her, but then she kind of like not fell in love, but like grew attachment to Cece, so like wanted to help Cece in any way that she could. So I think the potential for Sarah was 100% on the cards, but the entire timeline of Sarah and Cece does not make sense. And her lack of motive for being these really two important characters is really underwhelming. It's a shame because I see where the writers were going. When they mentioned Sarah earlier on in the show in regards to her having similarities of how Alison went missing, I was seeing what they were trying to do and kind of set up this whole other story with like a new Alison who like may actually potentially be in Alison's grave. The potential, like, I could see it. But as the show went on, Sarah became just a really dull, boring, annoying character. So when she's inserted into these really important roles, it's really underwhelming for the audience and we're not familiar with her. Kind of like how I said before with Alex Drake. We aren't familiar with Alex Drake. We don't have any kind of attachment to Alex Drake. So when Alex Drake is revealed as A, we don't feel betrayed. We don't feel like, oh my god, this whole time. So when Sarah is revealed as these really two important characters in Redcoat and the Black Widow, I don't feel anything. I don't feel betrayed. I don't feel blindsided. I'm just like, okay, that's that. And then just completely moves on to another situation. And I just can't stop thinking about Cece was the one that hit Alison and then went to Radley that night. So like it was like she never escaped. However, therefore she could not have taken Sarah. So this timeline just doesn't make sense. And I think it's just really confusing. And I think if they tried to make the timeline make sense, I think we could have brought into the character a bit more. But Sarah was very one-dimensional. And there wasn't really anything to her that the audience really liked. She lacked a lot of personality. Her script writing was not the best. And overall, it was just like, who is this character? Like, who is she? I think it would have been cool, actually. I read a theory that Sarah and Bethany could have been twins. That could have been a really cool thing that they could have done. I don't like the continuous use of twins on the show. However, I feel like that could have worked. Like a Bethany Sarah situation, I think could have worked. But nonetheless, I really want to know your opinions on this character. I think it's a very complex thing to talk about. So please let me know, or let me know if you have any issues with what I think about Sarah Harvey and the issues that came with her character. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.